we was all hands out.
Yeah.
You know, but I think, and I said it, when he did the third season lyric at the
Should
parade...
we have just taken a punt?
I went, you know what?
I think we would have been in the same situation, though.
I think he would have been sacked by October, but would it have kept the vibes for longer?
Well, I think that I actually tweeted this right after the parade, as I was on the train back from the parade, and when I finally got my son off my shoulders and we were back on the train afterwards in that absolute crush. And I actually said, if we sack Ange now, we'll be asking what if. Whereas if we'd left him in, we'd have known.
Yeah.
Look, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And we have obviously this fan base of... I've seen so many different tweets and...
A lot of revisionism.
And you know, Ange deserved better and this and that. And yeah, of course we can sit there and say that because look at how it's turned out. But if Thomas Frank would have come in and hit the ground running, none of us would have given Ange a second thought.
No.
Let's be honest, we would have still said thank you so much for the European trophy. Thanks for the first 10 games of that first season. And, you know...
But that's the point, though. That's exactly you nailed it there because it's that feeling, isn't it? It's the feeling of what you're buying into something because we literally are. Yeah. We're buying tickets.
But with that, with exactly what you say, it's a feeling of buying into something. This is why, not to keep going on about Pochettino, because I'm sure we will continue to go on about Pochettino for the next however many months till we resolve everything. But it is a bit of a what-ifism. Like, what if he comes back and finishes the job he started? What if he comes back and finally gets the backing he deserves? What if, what if it all works out?
Well, I was going to bring that as my next point because if Thomas Frank is to be sacked, we need a plan, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, this is why, again, I think if results are going to be bad in the next... Obviously, we've got Frankfurt, City... is it Newcastle before?
United.
United, then Newcastle.
Who were bouncing, right?
Arsenal.
I think if the results ain't great in those three, I think he's gone. I do think he's gone. But I'm almost up for just letting him roll out to the end of the season because there's nothing... At the moment, there's still the Champions League on the table, but that's not happening, right?
I'd like to think that they've tried... Maybe they haven't, because we've discussed some of the things they're very bad at. I would have liked to think they've tried to go to Glasner, who is out at Palace at the end of the season anyway, who has nothing left on his contract, so it wouldn't cost any money. Why not go to him and say, just do us to the end of the season? I mean, it'd be ruthless on Palace.
It would be ruthless.
But we're now playing your formation. You've got that squad.
Come win the Champions League.
Come win the Champions League.
Come in and just give it a go. And so, you know, I don't know if any of you were at that Palace game before they went to win the FA Cup last season. When they stuffed us at the Tottenham Stadium. I don't know. Again, we were thinking about Bilbao, but they were thinking about Wembley.
Yeah.
And they just tore us apart. And you know, I'd like to think they'd look. I'm not Glasner's agent here, and Palace fans are going to kill me
because of Brendan Johnson.
They can't believe that's their record.
Yeah, we're just trolling them.
I think it's a nice idea. I don't know if he'd do it.
No, I don't think he'd come as an interim.
I think realistically, like Iraola's out of contract as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Summer.
It's going to be a massive.
I am definitely once bitten, twice shy with those managers who are playing at the ball.
Yeah, I get that.
And again, we've been linked with, Tim Sherwood's had his gilet on earlier, talking about De Zerbi.
Take it off.
Yeah?
De Zerbi, no. Never going to work. Because he's so explosive.
I'd sooner have Tim Sherwood back.
Oh, that's a bit far.
Genuine.
Do you know what?
I used to love his little salute with Adebayor.
I genuinely would have it till the end of the season. I would rather have that. I would. Like
King, Defoe. Like, just bring anyone in. Someone doing the badges.
Listen, didn't Harry said he'd do West Ham for free? Surely he'd do us for free.
I would honestly not be against that.
Even with Jamie O'Hara, when he says about getting Harry, and he goes, at least he just all that dressing room needs.
Look at Martin O'Neill.
It needs, like you said. One thing that Spurs aren't built on is percentages and the finer details. It's never been about that. Ricky Vidia's goal against City, it wasn't about percentages. It was that that's the whole to do.
I've gone the other way with Harry, though, because I know Harry and we work with him at our place and I love him to bits. He's just... But I don't want him to go back in there because I don't want them to ruin him.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Do you know what?
You want to protect Harry at all costs.
Yeah, and I don't see it being something that Harry... I honestly, you know, enthusiasm, yes, and getting the fans on side, yes, but...
I worry about that with Poch.
Yeah.
No, I think...
Well, this brings us all back round to the Pochettino question, because we've had a hard Frank out. Now, the Pochettino one is going to be interesting because you've been on the fence.
Yeah.
Me and Abbi have been very much Poch in. I'm going to stake my claim as to why I think Pochettino should come back to the Tottenham Hotspur. We've gone through, and I've said this before, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but we've gone through every kind of manager. The A-listers. The Conte's an A-lister for me. Mm-hmm. And so's Jose. Even though he's not necessarily at the top of the A-list anymore, he still is Jose Mourinho, yeah? They come to the club and they almost do it like you know, this is a favour for you, but I'm better than you. It's like having a gorgeous partner and them going to all the time, look at my DMs. Look who's in there again. Any moment I could leave you and you're just like, please don't leave me, I love you, you're great, right? So we've had that. That doesn't bode well.
That's why I go to the gym, just to keep my missus on side.
Yeah, exactly. then you've got the Nunos, the Anges, and then the Thomases, like you know, and then us as fan bases turn into absolute idiots, and we're better than you. I don't like feeling like that, and I don't think we're in a position to give that.
Great.
And that's why other fan bases look at us and go, "Who do you think you are?" Because we do give off an air of arrogance when we're looking at Thomas Frank, who we all agree is a good manager.
Yeah.
And a good man as well.
And that's the other thing. We don't want to pile on someone and be like that. I don't want to feel like that towards Thomas Frank. I've always liked him. But again, as we feel, it's maybe not right for you.
Yeah.
Then there's this beautiful Argentinian man.
Beautiful Argentinian.
Who just sits on TV every time there's an opportunity, almost in tears, going, before I die, I just want to manage Tottenham. Like, this man wants us. The feeling of being wanted.
It's so nice.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Tell me, when you see him, do you see him in slow motion?
All the time. All the time.
Their
Petals.
Listen, there was a few, everyone goes, yeah, but you forget how the football was at the end of his tenure. He'd already started him coming out against the board saying, we know the whole quotes about it's a lovely house with no furniture. Before the Champions League final, that weird thing he said, if I win the Champions League, I should leave because it's the highest I can achieve. He was digging out the board going, we're not putting anything in. Everything that was given to Pochettino was no backing. There was nothing for him. It was difficult at the time because everyone said, even within journalistic spaces, how do you improve that starting 11? You couldn't. But that's not the point. You need to have the squad. We bring it back to Arsenal. They've got a squad right now. So if Arteta fails with that squad, there's a problem. There's no excuses. He didn't have a squad. And I always remember that game against Chelsea where Son played wing-back, right? Yeah. It was 2-2. And I remember when they announced the team sheet, Conte left Hazard and Diego Costa on the bench, and we thought, he's lost the plot, we're going to win this. 72 minutes on, they bring Costa on and Hazard. I think we brought on Chadley and included.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I was like, that's the difference. And I think now, Pochettino walks into a different Spurs squad with a lot more quality than what he came into first time round.
Absolutely.
With the ability to improve those players like he improved the players who were... People forget, Kyle Walker and Danny Rose were improved under Poch.
Yeah.
Because they were there at the club before. You know, Kyle Walker, when he first started, he's gone on to be one of the best right-backs of all time in the Premier League. I used to always remember him just could never look over his shoulder. There was always someone behind him giving away goals. So he improves players. I think knowing from the inside as well how he trains players and the intensity of it and his attention to detail from training sessions. He used to record training sessions. And if people were off talking and that, he'd ask people, what they've been talking about? Is everything okay? He had eyes on everything. And that's why, for me, I think Pochettino is the only person that can come in and both parties need to scratch that itch.
I totally agree with you. Everything you've said is everything I've been saying. Like, I think that with him, he just fits. We get it with each other. Like, there are factors why it didn't work out the first time. It's like being in a relationship, isn't it? Like, sometimes you need to go on a break, or sometimes you need to break up and go sow your oats, and then you come back together because you realise you're actually meant to be, and you give it another crack.
I can see those Friends memes already.
Yeah.
We was on a break.
We was on a break. But it's so obvious. Look, obviously, he wants to come back. You don't sit there and say 6 years later, you know, you still talk about it. You don't sit there as Chelsea manager, which, okay, we let that off because he didn't do so well at Chelsea, really.
And
you don't.
He was waiting for the call.
Of course he
was.
We didn't give him the call. We didn't give him the call and we messed him around and he ended up going to Chelsea and that's that. But, you know, while the day before a derby, you sit there and you say, you know, you're talking about Spurs, like you're a Chelsea manager. Like, that would never happen if that was a real Chelsea manager. I think we can forgive and forget that as well. Most of us don't even think about it anymore. But
I mean, the guy's got broad shoulders as well. He's worked under Levy, Abramovich and now Trump. I
just think it would be totally different this time. I think last time also what was the problem? Obviously Daniel Levy generally, but like the lack of control. Yeah. And this time you come back in a way that you have control. You're more of a Klopp, you're more of a Pep figure at Tottenham. And otherwise I wouldn't come back unless I was going to have control over transfers or control and a lot more say than what he had the first time around, because he earned that the first time and he wasn't given it. And in my opinion, it has to be him. It's the only way that we move forward.
So let's find out from Dean, because we're interested to hear how you feel about that.
I feel that I still hold a lot of what-ifs about Pochettino. I do feel that he didn't change at the end and he needed to, and we should have won the league. Like, you know, and there's two schools of thought there. One is if they'd have brought a striker, if they'd have given him a striker in the January, then we'd have won it because the Kane injury and everything that happened after that. Like, Defoe went back to Sunderland, didn't he? In that, and I wanted Defoe back. Even if he'd only played 10 minutes in 5 games, he'd have scored a goal that would have won us a game that might have got us across the line. I'm thinking Leicester at home, where Morgan scored that header. You know, we had so many chances in that game, and one of them falls to Jermaine Defoe, we win it. So there's that element with Poch as well, which the what-ifs. I'm going to be accused of being way over positive here, right? I really feel like this football club's ready to explode. Like, they've done to give Levy the credit in the background for the stadium and all the base business work, right? They're ready to sell.
100%.
They've just put the 18, 19, 20-year-olds into the squad who are very, very good but shouldn't be starting.
Yeah.
And now the final piece is to go, here is £350 million to spend in a summer and go and give a manager the squad that it wants. And the reason that I'm starting to teeter back to Poch when a year ago I was like, no, is I think that the only man that they can trust with that is somebody like Poch, because then the fans would be on his side from the start. But the money's there. Yeah. The money is there. And they didn't trust Ange to do it, too erratic. They don't trust Thomas Frank to do it because he's got no history in that market of spending that money on those players. They worked in a Benham and analyst numbers game at Brentford, you know, so it was all about... And look, that was very successful. It was amazing, but it was based on numbers metrics, not on let's go and take... Look, when Poch came in, you know, you mentioned the players that are already there, but then we brought in Premier League proven players, OK? We're talking Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Dembele, and then you add to that your sprinkling of Eriksen. And look, they got lucky with Dele, didn't they? Yeah. But, you know, then there was Harry there as well. And Son, yeah. But they added Premier League class to a group that was ready to go. Wanyama was another one who was vastly underrated, in my opinion, from a Spurs fan's perspective, because he just came into games you needed him to play and do a job. And again, Anfield,
obviously was clearly identified by Poch because he was one of his players.
Absolutely right, yeah. And look, even Sissoko, and I know he became a bit of a clown figure at the end, but he played like Premier League games. He'd been through the divisions. Yeah. He was. You know, if at this point...
Trippier as well.
Yeah, Trippier was another one. There was those players they brought in, and if you're going to trust the manager with an enormous budget, you need to trust the manager.
Yeah.
Right, so, and at the moment, I think he'd be the only one who they'd be, yes, we trust you. Yeah. Look at the signings under Mourinho and look at the signings under Conte. There was a lot of self-interest going on there.
Oh, 100%.
You know, and, you know, they were buying players that they had previously that they just fancied would do a short-termist job for them in those scenarios.
Probably more with Conte than
absolutely, yeah. But this could be this is the one where if they get this decision right, then it's ready to explode. And if they get it wrong, we could be Aston Villa in the Championship.
Absolutely. Sonny, you're the only one left to convince.
He's my number 2.
Who's
your number 1?
So I'm going to word this in a particular way. When, not if, when Manchester United get rid of Carrick, because, you know, Neville and Keane and all the old heads have already, at the weekend, were like, Carlo Ancelotti, Tuchel. They want that big name.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be going for a big name like any of those. I mean, Pochettino I like. I think I'm warming to that. But I'm just thinking he's got that association with the club. I feel like his time at Spurs was really underrated. He's got a massive...
He wasn't there very long.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, but like even like after West Ham, he improved a lot from West Ham. Then he obviously went up to another level at United. I just think with what we've seen at... You know, his first spell as interim got results off Emery, Tuchel and Arteta. He's done it again against Pep and Arteta and played a really dynamic attacking football. His time at Borough, he did actually lift them up. I know he missed out on the playoffs and all that, but Borough, they're a bit of a confusing club with the way they're run. But, you know...
He's used to confusing clubs then.
Well, there you are then. I just feel like my only other thing is if Poch... I'm a bit with Poch, I'm just worried if he comes back in and it does go a bit wrong again, then we're like, you know, we're tarnishing his legacy from before. Whereas with Carrick, he's a young project. So like, we called Ange and Frank project managers, but like they're on the older side of, you know, their life and all that. Whereas Carrick's young, he's hungry, he's got that experience as, you know, playing under Fergie, which we need a bit of man management as well in that squad to be like, you know, telling people what to do. He's got, you know, a really good like mind when it comes to tactics as well. Like he's, you know, just coming to 2 games. I know manager bounce is like a myth and like what is it actually? But I think to have back-to-back results against City and Arsenal and play how they did and make the players like Dorgu look like, the new Gareth Bale, you could say, I feel like that is the manager for me who can come into this club and like rip it all up and we start again. A bit like when Pochettino came in first of all. That's where I'm thinking.
I just think if Man United do go on half a bit of a run, they'll keep him.
I don't think they will.
I don't know if they will. I think they're a bit scarred from the Ole.
Yeah, but I think this is a bit different, especially that, as well as having Holland there in the background as well. It's almost...
I think I'm not disagreeing with you. I would be open to having Carrick. That, again, probably the other way around. That probably wouldn't be my first choice. But, again, that is a project and you've got to be patient.
The reason why I go with the Poch one now is I don't want to wait another 4 or 5 years when he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
I think this is the...
I think that's a really incisive point because I think that is on the edge with Poch now because that is kind of what I was sort of alluding to when I talked about Harry there is that if you're out of the game for even a short period of time now, it's moving on so fast. The way that the analysts work, the way that sports science works. We had the whole Amorim thing of was he the manager or the head coach? That is a really big thing in football now. And Pochettino, even now, it's been a while.
Yeah, but obviously
it's been a while.
International football is obviously different, but they've got a great team in terms of them and their coaching staff. But I think that you're right. I think with the Poch thing, it's like now or never. I think this is it. Like
Tuchel will be available in June.
Again,
I
don't think there's.
I think what helps with the Carrick as well is Alex Crook reported we wanted him as interim, but then Man United got in there first, and then also Jonathan Woodgate.
I know.
So might as well bring that Spurs family back.